friends, and welcome back. And at long last, I get to talk about this guy, a Missing Link Ultra Magnus. So here we have the Missing Link Ultra Magnus packaging, very much reminiscent of that original G1 Ultra Magnus packaging, right down to the weird window over here for no reason. But they have redone the artwork. Now we have Ultra Magnus doing the pose that sort of homages the way he was posed in the original movie poster. You can see he does now come with a Diaclone pilot, very much like the original Diaclone release of this did. And speaking of, there's also another little Diaclone surprise in here, which is really awesome. Got the C10, Missing Link logo, Ultra Magnus and City Commander and all that stuff down there in Japanese. Up here on the top, we have the Scramble City logo, which is really cool to see. We have our new G1 Ultra Magnus right there. Nice images, some of the same text. Here on the side, we have our Missing Link Ultra Magnus in both modes. Over here on this side, we have our Missing Link Ultra Magnus in both modes. On the bottom of the box, we have the obligatory step-by-step transformation process right there, as well as all your warnings and stuff and things. Then here on the back, we have that classic original poster artwork from the old catalogs in the back of the boxes for the movie line. And then here we have another step-by-step of what all it can do, as well as our new Diaclone surprise, which is pretty cool. We have our tech specs, as always. So yeah, it is time to bust out the mini meat cleaver of doom, and let's see how cool this guy could be, or if he's complete trash. I'm pretty sure he's not complete trash. And hey, look, robot points, except it's not really robot points, but it's made to look like the old robot points. I love that. More words and stuff. And there is our Ultra Magnus in all of his glory, and our new, old, it's both new and old, companion, Deerstalker. So as mentioned, in the little plastic baggie, you get your decoder, which you can use to decode your tech specs if you really care about that. We get a card of Ultra Magnus, sort of thin, flimsy card with a hole in it again. For those collecting that, again, has some stuff on the back. And then, of course, we got our catalog, which let's open this up here. And you can see we've got all of our Missing Link thus far. Decided lack of Decepticons, unless you count the Black Optimus Prime there, which I don't. And then, of course, we've got the pics of Ultra Magnus, as well as his repaint based off the original Diaclone colors, which is coming. That'll also be our first female Diaclone from the new Diaclone model here. New vintage style Diaclone anyway. The instructions, which, toss that doesn't matter. Anyway, one of these days somebody's going to get mad at me for that. And, of course, our sticker sheet. So because they are trying to perfectly recreate the G1 experience, they do still include the sticker sheet, even though none of these stickers are actually needed, because everything sticker detail has been sculpted and painted on the figure, which is a fantastic thing. But hey, if you have an old G1 Ultra Magnus that has, bad stickers or missing stickers, there you go. You have replacements. Now, before we get into Ultra Magnus proper, we have to talk about this. Our box within a box. This is so cool. This is really, really cool when it comes down to it. So for those that don't know, the original Powered Convoy Diaclone came with a box inside featuring Diaclone Buggy. That's what this was originally called. And what was kind of cool is the box art made him look like he was blue, but then he was red on the inside. So what they've done here is they've made the box art miscolored on purpose so it would match that original Diaclone box. And everything on here does match that original Diaclone box, but now he has included Transformers tech specs. Oh, he is taped, so once again, the mini meat cleaver of doom comes back. Let's cut that tape. And let's pull this out of here, because I think most of the accessories are in here as well. Yeah, so we've got all wrapped up in a baggie. Okay, and here we have our Ultra Magnus out of the packaging. I did go ahead and snip off 2 of the missiles, so just know you do have to cut those off. Full disclosure, I am fully refilming this review at this point. I had filmed this review, included a whole bunch of deep dive comparisons between this and the original Ultra Magnus, and by the time all was said and done, when I tried to edit it down, I had about an hour and a half long video. Yeah. I wouldn't even watch that. So we're just redoing it. I will post the deep dive comparisons in a separate video in case anybody wants to know, what's the same and what's different outside of the stickers being, sculpted and painted in. But let's go through all the things. So as we saw when I took them out of the box with Deerstalker, we do get 2 different waists, just like we did on the vintage toy. Only this time around, one of the waists have been resculpted to include the hole up here, which I do believe is how it was on the original Diaclone figure. I don't know if that's correct or not, but I think that's what it was. These have been re-engineered as to how they attach on. As you can see, they have little square tab holes back here. And on the trailer, we now have tabs down here, 2 sets of tabs, in fact, because these attach on differently depending on which one you want to have on. I will say the vintage toy one that we're used to works better as a trailer hitch, as it gives more room for that tab to rotate, as opposed to where this one lies. This one ends up putting the hole, well, basically right here, which doesn't give him as much room to turn. We do have our 2 missile launchers, and I use that word in quotations, as these do not launch the missiles. Now, they do have articulated triggers. So if you have one of the vintage toys, the triggers were actually up like this, but in the cartoon, they were back like this. And there is some new engineering here, which we will show that off in robot mode, as well as the alternate modes that it has now. So what they've done, your vintage Ultra Magnus, you can only pin these in right here to the posts in the front. Let's stick the missile in there. Just like so. And you can still do that. That's still correct. But now they've added the ability to post these into the sides like he was in the animation. That looks more like what we expect to see from an Ultra Magnus. Of course, we get the gun. This has been retooled from the original. This post down here is no longer at an angle, doesn't have the groove anymore, and this post is slightly longer. We have the Thing. So yeah, the little Diaclone vehicle made from his chest and his head. One of those Diaclone, it's a thing because we say it's a thing. But you can, of course, fit your Diaclone pilot in there if you so choose to have him riding around in that. And they did add the wheels back on, so it does roll slightly. Of course, we have our Deerstalker, and we'll take a close look at this one here in just a minute. Of course, we have our cab, and we have our trailer. So starting things off, we'll take a look at our Diaclone pilot, who I just dropped because he's super tiny. And this is the exact same sculpt of the Diaclone pilot that came with Sunstreaker and Cordon. This is just done in a different color scheme, very much like similar, but not quite like the suits from the season 3 that Spike, Carly, and Daniel wore. Again, it's just same thing, metal back, metal head, very limited articulation. Arms can go like that, legs can go like that. And just quick comparison, here he is with the original release. They are very, very tiny. And here he is with a modern Diaclone. Now, one thing I don't think I mentioned this with Sunstreaker. So they do have the magnetic feet, but the die-cast used in these, and yes, they do still have die-cast, they're non-ferrous. So he can't really attach on anywhere. Now, some of the pins and screws are magnetizable, but they're not really strong enough to actually get him to stay on. So, yeah, like he'll hang on to the mini meat cleaver of doom. Now moving on to Deerstalker. This is our brand new, never before seen G1 transformer. Now the original version of this was a parts former. You would take them apart and put them back together in robot mode, very similar to Six Gun from Metroplex. Now for transformation, this takes a little bit of work. There's little hooks back here that kind of need to flex out of the way. And then you can pull this whole piece up just like that. Then rotate these around just like so. And around and out just like so. Then we'll snap this back into place. Which, again, because those hooks need a little flex, takes a little bit of work. Then we got a swivel right here. We're going to rotate this up and post that into the sides of the wheels onto these pegs. Then turn the whole arms down. Then we will go ahead and untab the legs. They just sort of tab in like so and rotate out this way. Then rotate out this way, tab into place. Extend the arms, which are tight on mine, very tight. Rotate the head. And there we have our new G1 Deerstalker. Now the stickers are, well, the Autobot symbols on this case are actually stickers. They are the smaller stickers that are here on the sticker sheet. So these do have to get applied if you want them to have the Autobot stickers, which I do, so I did. But yeah, here is Deerstalker, brand new G1 Transformer, which is pretty cool. Now, he does not have the full range of articulation that a lot of the other missing links do, partially because he's hollow. He's a facade. But he does have a little port back here. If you wanted to put him on a display stand, you do have that. He does have some limited articulation, so his legs can unsnap and spread out a little bit. The arms can do a full 360, but they kind of get caught right here. You can also pull them in and out, which does want to pull them off that peg. So that's not the most secure peg connection. And of course, he does have elbow bend, swiveling head. And that's really all the articulation. I mean, you can untab the knees and move them if you wanted to, but they are meant to tab in. Now, sadly, because he is hollow, if you try to stand him up with his legs spread apart, he's not going to do it. He's not going to stay up. So if you do want him standing in an A stance, you do kind of have to untab those knees and rotate those legs back a little bit to get him in that kind of stance if you so choose. Now, he does have the 5mm port for the hands, so he can, in fact, hold Ultra Magnus's gun. Oh, and I forgot to show off, he does have a port right here as well, so he can also carry the gun in vehicle mode. On to Magnus himself. I mean, it's a G1 Optimus Prime. It's a box with wheels. All there is. There's not really much different here. So yeah, I mean, if you have a G1 Optimus Prime, or if you have the Missing Link Optimus Prime, pretty much everything from here on is identical, but everything from here back has been resculpted to do with the new transformation scheme. He does have the full rubber tires. They are the desert dog, just like the vintage toy. There is some different engineering here in the feet, but the feet are still die cast, as is the window up here in the cab. About the only thing obviously different is that he doesn't have holes here anymore. And of course, all the things that were stickers on the vintage Ultra Magnus are now sculpted on and painted. Same thing back here, and we'll see some more in robot mode. Now you can still open up the cab, and inside you will find the matrix chamber with a matrix of leadership, which is very loose on my copy, very easy to knock out. But here is that matrix. It's just done in silver chrome with a bit of blue paint. It is hollow. And the matrix chamber is removable if you want to expose the Diaclone cockpit and have your Diaclone pilot sit in there. Now, transformation on this is very similar to G1 Optimus Prime, very similar to the Missing Link Prime, just with a few minor differences as well. So just like Vintage Prime, you start with moving the arms out, rotating them out, very tight on mine. And then we'll fold out the arms, flip around the head, then we'll untab these wheels right here, give them a painful split of the crotch right there, and rotate those down. Then we will flatten out the feet. These heel pieces are a separate piece, and they do want to move with that foot, so you'll have to sort of push those back into place. And there is our new G1 Magnus. And as you can see, we have exposed more sticker detail that's been replaced by sculpted detail. And lots of nice chrome. Looking very good. Looking like a G1 toy. So, of course, the big thing here is that he has added articulation. If you have the Missing Link Optimus Prime, you already know what you're looking at here. It's the same articulation. Nothing really different outside of a bit of re-engineering to coincide with the Ultra Magnus trailer. But the head does swivel. That's new articulation. Much like the vintage toy, you can rotate at the shoulders. There's no longer a soft ratchet in there. You can bend at the elbow. There is a ratchet in there. Rotate at the elbow. But now you also have articulation here on the inside of the shoulder as well as here at the torso. So you can totally get him doing that if you want. The hands, which are no longer removable, have a rotation and they do open. We do have a waist swivel. Very limited waist swivel, but it's there. A very hard to engage and awkward ab crunch. You want to get him all mean looking with them beady red eyes of his. I don't really like that ab crunch, if I'm being honest. So the legs can now go forward that far. Of course, due to the transformation, they can go all the way back. We still have the ratcheted knee bend, which now goes well past 90 degrees. We do have a thigh rotation, which was very much sealed on mine when I first got this out. I was able to work them and get them loose, and I ended up having little dustings of chrome on the table here as a result. We do have ankle tilt, and we have up and down at the toe. So meaning you can get this guy in some pretty impressive dynamic poses if you so choose. And he is still sculpted to have a 5mm port right here, so you can easily give him his gun, and he holds it just fine. Now on to the trailer itself, and just like before, everything that was once stickers is now sculpted and painted on. So you can see we have these little bits right here. We have this bit right there. Very nice shiny paint. We just have the flat Autobot tampos there. Going down the back, this looks really good. How they've got this picked out and sculpted, it looks really, really good. I love the little strips down here. And yeah, the first thing you'll notice when you do pick this guy up out of the package is the heft, because there is now die cast in the trailer. Right down in here in these pieces, as well as down in here, is all die cast. So very, very nice. Still rolls very well. This time, instead of just having the one big wheel down here, they now have two wheels to help him roll a little bit better. And of course, he can still do everything that an Ultra Magnus trailer does. And then some, because they added some features here, and we'll go over that here in a second. One thing I do want to point out, when you take this guy out of the box, he's going to be kind of crooked right here. And that's because he's got little joints back here that need to get snapped down into place to make this whole thing straight. So just be aware of that. These are very tight joints down here. And just for giggles, here is the entire Missing Link crew. Well, minus the cartoon repaints and cordon. I didn't really care about getting those. I did get the two Darcy's. I'll review those here. And once again, for comparison, here is our Missing Link Ultra Magnus and our Missing Link Optimus Prime. And yeah, they look good together. They look like a G1 Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime, as they should. All right, so let's talk about the play patterns in this mode. So, of course, everybody remembers your vintage Ultra Magnus. You could pop this down and then pop this off and drop it down, and you have a ramp that you can drive your cars on up, sort of kind of the most bumpiest ride ever, and then put this back up into place, and tab that back in, and you can have a car sitting in there, on there. There's enough room, depending on what cars you've got, to put more than one car up here. They don't plug in or anything. You just kind of have to use the sculpt the detail to sort of keep them from rolling off. And then likewise, you can roll a car up in here and park it in there, should you choose. You could also fit an Optimus Prime in here, but he's not going to fit up through here, just because. Now, one of the things that they show off in the box is that you can also take the arms, put them up like that, and you can make that a launch. They show Silverbolt, which I hope is a hint that, you know, Silverbolt's coming. But anyway, so you can whoosh your jets off, which that sounds like an innuendo. Anyway. Damn it, boy, quit wishing your jets off. Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah. So the new things that they've added is that they've added a base mode. Well, actually 2 base modes. And they're dumb. So base mode number 1. You're going to take the arm pieces here and start making like you're transforming him. Fold them down this way. Then you're going to take these and rotate them around and bend right there. Then rotate this away and rotate this away like so. Then we're going to take our missile launchers. Make sure your missiles are in your missile launchers. And then right in here, in these new arm pieces, there's this little piece right there. You can kind of see it here. You're going to push that up, and that exposes this little square peg right down there. And that square peg is going to peg into that hole right there. And you do that on both sides, and this is one of the base modes. So yeah, basically it's like a garage, so you can have your Magnus pull into his garage and stuff. So you're gonna have to have those clips out of the way. Yeah. Sure. Sure. And then of course the other base mode you can do is you can fold up the legs here, what becomes the legs, and flip him around this way. And no, I think that's wrong. I think you actually do have him like this. There we go. Yeah. You have him like this, and that's the other base mode. Sure. And then the next one is you push these in just like so, and you tilt this up like so, and now these arms are supposed to be like repair bot arms, you know, like the Optimus Prime repair bay mode of his trailer. And you know, you can stick a little Magnus in there and have it being like it's beating him in the face or something. I sure. It's dumb. It's dumb. But we've seen dumber. And hey, look, we're already mostly transformed into robot mode. So, final step, push these in. As you can see, the fists are now attached. They are still removable, however. And you can still plug in this here if you so choose. But there we go. And we take our waist piece, and I'm actually going to swap it out for this one. And we're going to put that right there. And now we have that part all done. Now for the smaller Magnus figure, we are going to, basically like you would do with your vintage Magnus, we'll go ahead and straighten down his feet, fold these in, and fold his arms in. And now we're going to come back here and take these panels and fold these up. And then fold the feet up. They do kind of loosely snap into place, but they're not really a tight grip there. Now, when you first get this out of the box, you may need to pull on these to loosen these up a little bit. These are new knee flaps that are part of the new engineering here. You'll need that for that's articulation. So we'll turn this around. And we got a couple of things here. So we have these little armatures that you're going to unfold and extend out. You sort of turn these to get them out of the way. And then you've got these little clips here you're going to open up. Just like so. And also, if you look, you now have a 5mm port back here. I guess if you have a display stand and you want to use a display stand, you can totally do that. Now, on the vintage toy, the way this worked is you had these little grooves right here that went around the little posts on the wheel wells here. And then you had the little pegs that his hands would go into. You don't have that anymore. So you just have those posts, and now you have this little hook. I don't know how well you can see that, but there is a hook right there that's going to hook underneath that bumper. So far, I have not had any chrome wear on that, but I can almost guarantee that over time, if you do this a lot, you're going to wear the chrome here on the wheels and wear the chrome on that. So that is a shame, par for the course, I suppose. But you're going to just line this up and get it in there until you hear that snap. He says, get in there. There we go. Then you clip that down, clip these around the legs, which I'm not going to lie. In my opinion, these clips here do nothing. And then we will take these armatures here, rotate them around, and peg them into these holes here. And these do something, but they're not overly successful in doing that thing. Then we'll take the Diaclone thing right here and snap that into place, put his hat on his head, put his gun in his hand, and there you have the new Missing Link G1 Ultra Magnus. Now, of course, we still need to add his missile launchers, but now we need to talk about the new engineering on the missile launchers, because this is pretty cool. So the way his arms plug together, you know, you have these little circular ports and posts right here, and they just sort of sandwich together. And because of that, whenever you did attach the missile launchers onto his shoulders, the original toy, they were always offset. One's higher, one's lower. Well, these missile launchers now have these new swiveling post pieces that you can untap from here, he says, and rotate around. And now, with that, you can have the missile launchers in line with each other at last. So, the big deal between this and your vintage Ultra Magnus is the new articulation. I do want to talk about this Autobot sticker right here. This Autobot symbol right here that's tampoed on to this diamond plating. So, you know, this was a sticker on the vintage toy. But what they've done on the Missing Link Ultra Magnus and Optimus cab is that they removed some of the rivets that were here in order to have that Autobot symbol sit flat. They did not do any of that here. They just tampoed that onto the grill, and it kind of makes it really weird looking and hard to see that that's an Autobot symbol sometimes. You catch it just right, it looks fine, but for the most part, it's a little bit not great. But anyway, so our first step here is going to be to unsnap the feet because they are snapped together. And as you can see right off the bat, we can spread his legs out. And to accommodate that, we have, they snap in. You have to sort of unsnap them, but we have ankle pivot. So he can already get into an A stance. But likewise, we now have a rotation at these legs. It's a bit limited because of the inner robot. We also have a flap here on the waist so it can get up out of the way. And we now have forward and back movement on those legs. And you can see here, that's what this little apparatus here, why it's articulated the way it is. It's to sort of help keep that leg in position. But as you can see, these legs, the thighs here, they don't even connect to these pieces at all when it comes down to it. And these can be basically what makes things difficult for articulating the legs. Now, if you unhook these little tabs here, kind of like you're transforming them back into vehicle mode, you can now access that deep knee bend. And that is a very deep knee bend, full 90 degrees of knee bend there, which is phenomenal. Now, these clips are super thick, chunky, and tight on mine. And as you can see, I'm already getting, well, maybe you can't see it, but I'm already getting stress marks here from these clips. So just something to be aware of. And also, if you grab and rip these legs quickly, you're liable, I can't speak right now. You're likely going to untab all of this and make that not quite work the way it's supposed to work. So you do kind of want to hold on to that leg while you're doing this. Now, of course, since he's using the Ultra Magnus inner robot head, we still have a waist. We still have a head swivel. Yeah, that's the waist now. I know body parts. We now have in and out movement here at the shoulder, and of course with the big long Ultra Magnus shoulders, that can be limiting a little bit. We, of course, still have all the same articulation your G1 Magnus had, so it does rotate there at the bicep. It does bend there at the elbow 90 degrees. And you can rotate the fists because they're just pegged on. But you now also have opening fists. He does have a separate finger from the rest of the hand, if you so choose to do so. Now, a new feature added into this mode is the opening chest to get to the matrix, and this is a little bit problematic. So we'll pop this chest piece back off, and now this panel here can open up and expose the inner truck robot chest, so you can get to that matrix. However, because this is die cast and it doesn't really flex a whole lot, and because this guy can wiggle around in here quite a bit, there really isn't a lot of good clearance to open this chest without scratching up the paint on the die-cast piece. So if you do want to open this up and have it displayed open, you kind of need to push him back a little bit to get him off that hook, and then you can open up that chest and push it back into place, and it will fit just fine without having any issues scratching the paint. Or you can just remove the whole robot and open it up and then put him back in place. But I find you just need to push him back off of that hook, and that's usually going to give you enough clearance to do all this. And finally, here is our almost complete missing link team. And yeah, that's a good looking group of G1 Autobots that can do things that G1 Autobots couldn't do. But yeah, I am unabashedly in love with this line. I am all in on this. This is a great way to complete a G1 collection, especially since, some of these they can't do reissues of because the original molds are gone, like Sunstreaker here. And now we're also getting G1 Transformers that never existed in G1, even though they were intended to at some point, like RC and Deerstalker here. And just to see, the engineering that they're able to put in these things now. Anyway, if you can pick these up, by all means, I do recommend them. Though, right now with the way things are going, spending the money on these is getting harder and harder to convince yourself to do, or convince myself to do. So while I do recommend it, good luck. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. Y'all have a good one.